My name is Walter Shen, and I am one of the program supervisors in the Technology Implementation Unit of the Office of Technology Advancement. I will be providing an overview of the Carl Moyer program and walking you through the process of how to apply online using our Carl Moyer online application system. The topics we will cover will range from the background and highlights of the Carl Moyer program. We will focus on the eligibility of projects and answer your question of, is my project eligible? We will also explain how projects are selected for funding, how projects and funds are reimbursed for applicants who qualify and are offered a contract. And finally, we will go through the process of how to apply. By way of background, this is the 22nd year of the Carl Moyer program. South Coast AQMD has successfully implemented this program for the past 21 years and has greatly reduced emissions from mobile sources in the South Coast Basin. The Carl Moyer program is strictly voluntary and targets the replacement of older, heavy-duty engines, equipment, and vehicles. One of the primary goals of this program is to accelerate the commercialization and use of the cleanest available technology while focusing on the reduction of air pollution from disadvantaged and low-income communities. Other key goals of the Carl Moyer program includes the promotion of surplus emission reductions. This is one of the main drivers of the program. The actions taken and funding for the replacement of older, dirtier engines and equipment happens prior to any regulatory requirement. Thus, this early action provides the surplus emission reductions that is a requirement to the program. Another key goal is that the Carl Moyer program will fund projects at or below $30,000 per ton of weighted emissions. This limit reflects the more recent regulatory costs and will enable more meaningful grants for cleaner engines at the required standard. We will cover this again in later slides. Lastly, the Carl Moyer program promotes the use of the cleanest available technology. Whether the new engines are Tier 4 final for off-road engines or low NOx on-road heavy-duty engines, the Carl Moyer program enables these technologies to be utilized to reduce emission reductions. On an annual basis, funding for the Carl Moyer program are based upon several revenue streams made possible by legislative actions, including Senate Bill 1107. This bill adjusts the smog abatement fee collected for new vehicles registered at the DMV from $6 to $12. That difference is directed to fund projects for the Carl Moyer program. Assembly Bill 923. This bill adjusts the tire fee that is assessed on new consumers who purchase tires from $1 to $1.75. AB 923 also gives South Coast AQMD the authority to apply a $2 surcharge on DMV vehicle registrations to fund projects under the Carl Moyer program. This is known as local match funding. The difference of $6 from the smog abatement fee and 75 cents from the tire fee are collected by the Air Resources Board, who will then distribute funds to the California Air Districts. This amount plus the $2 DMV surcharge or local funds account for approximately $30 million a year in funding to South Coast AQMD to fund projects under the Carl Moyer program. The Carl Moyer program funds off-road, on-road, and infrastructure projects. Off-road projects include equipment used in construction, agriculture, including equipment also used in cargo handling, such as yard tractors and forklifts. Off-road projects also include the repower of marine engines, the replacement and repower of locomotives, including line haul and switcher locomotives, and finally, ship-side shore power projects. For the on-road category, projects can include on-road heavy-duty trucks, including drayage trucks, transit buses, solid waste vehicles, public agency and utility vehicles, as well as emergency vehicles such as fire trucks or ambulances. Infrastructure is a new Carl Moyer category introduced in 2017. The program provides funding opportunities to fund the installation of fueling or energy infrastructure for zero and near zero alternative vehicles and equipment. These projects are not limited by the $30,000 per ton cost effectiveness limit, unlike those required for the off-road and on-road categories. Infrastructure projects include battery charging and alternative fueling stations, including natural gas and hydrogen fueling stations. There are basically three project types under the Carl Moyer program. Replacements refer to the replacement of older, higher polluting vehicles or equipment with a newer, cleaner one. Repowers refer to the replacement of the engine only with a newer, cleaner emitting engine. The vehicle or equipment chassis is intact. Retrofits refer to the installation of a CARB-verified emissions control device for an in-use engine, including but not limited to diesel particulate filters and diesel oxidation catalysts. It should be noted, however, that for on-road projects, there can also be conversions, which involve the replacement or modification of the original engine to a system that provides both motive power and a change in fuel type. Examples of conversions are hybrid or all-electric conversions. Lastly, the Voucher Incentive Program, or VIP, is part of the Carl Moyer program and is designed to fund on-road heavy-duty trucks for smaller fleets with 1 to 10 trucks. The VIP program is voucher-based, thus it is more streamlined in process, where South Coast AQMD staff works directly with the dealerships on the voucher payments. In terms of eligibility, there are several key points to highlight and consider if your project is eligible for the Carl Moyer program. Your fleet must be in compliance with an in-use CARB regulation, and the emission reductions from the project must not be used for regulatory compliance. Again, going back to the concept of surplus emissions, the program is incentivizing early actions prior to any compliance deadline. Therefore, the emissions reduced cannot be counted towards any compliance measures. Your project must be operating at a minimum at 75% in the South Coast AQME jurisdiction, and your project must achieve at least a 15% reduction in NOx emissions. After considering these key points and other elements of the Carl Moyer program, your project will be further evaluated at or below the $30,000 per ton cost effectiveness limit. Continuing on the discussion of cost effectiveness, all projects must meet this limit first and foremost. Projects will then be selected based upon its status as a disadvantaged and low-income community. The Carl Moyer program is bound by legislation enacted in 2001, known as AB 1390, to expend 50% of the Carl Moyer program funds for projects that operate or are based in environmental justice areas. In addition, the Community Air Protection Program under AB 617 further prioritizes projects in CARB-approved AB 617 communities. All projects will be evaluated for benefits to disadvantaged and low-income communities using Cal EnviroScreen 3.0, and further funding with guidelines for agencies that administers California climate investments. After these considerations, all remaining projects will compete based on cost effectiveness ranking. More on cost effectiveness. As a quick background, most projects that are moving forward with new engines meeting the current emission standards, such as Tier 4 final for off-road, or 0.2 grams per brake horsepower hour for on-road heavy-duty engines, for example, those will be evaluated against the $30,000 per ton of weighted emission reductions. Again, this base limit reflects more recent regulatory costs and enables more meaningful grant amounts for cleaner engines at the current standard. Again, this is step one. Now with step two, this applies for advanced technology engines that are zero emission or meet the cleanest optional standard, such as 0.02 grams per brake horsepower hour for on-road heavy-duty engines, for example. Step two allows projects to be evaluated with not only step one limit of $30,000 per ton, but at step two with an additional $100,000 per ton of weighted emission reductions. This higher limit is intended to provide even additional incentives to turn engines and fleets over to the cleanest certified technologies emerging commercially. So what's next? If your project is eligible and meeting the key criteria for Carl Moyer funding, what is next are inspections. The Carl Moyer program guidelines require that your existing engine and or equipment or vehicle go through a pre-inspection to ensure that the equipment is functional and that the engine information on hour meter and odometer are legible and in working order. After you are extended a contract and the contract is executed, the program will require that the new engine and or equipment be inspected and meets program requirements. For on-road projects only, old vehicles must be delivered to a South Coast AQMD approved dismantler. Staff will then verify that the equipment is the vehicle is in a similar condition as found in the pre-inspection and has not been stripped for parts. For all projects, after the new engine and or vehicle and new equipment or vehicle is inspected, you will be required to destroy your old engine and or equipment or vehicle and ensure that the salvage inspection is completed by South Coast AQMD staff. You will be responsible in notifying South Coast AQMD in writing upon delivery of the old engine and/or equipment or vehicle to the dismantler. South Coast AQMD inspectors will verify the equipment has been destroyed in accordance with the Carl Moyer program guidelines. What is also required if you are extended a contract with South Coast AQMD is annual reporting. In return for funding provided for your project, you will be required to provide usage updates on an annual basis for the life of the contract. This is mandatory. The annual report form you see is a simple form included when you receive your contract. This form is where you, as a contractor, will be identifying the equipment funded under the Carl Moyer program and its annual usage, either through an hour meter reading or odometer readings. Once completed, you will send this to the South Coast AQMD for review. After all is said and done, one of the most common questions is, how am I reimbursed, or how do I receive grant payments after you replace your equipment or vehicle or repower your engine with a new engine? After you complete all the inspections as discussed in the previous slide, you will then contact your project officer. If you paid your project in full, your project officer will work with you to gather documentation such as copies of your sales invoice and your payment check. And upon reviewing all the inspection reports and other paperwork, South Coast AQMD will reimburse payment directly to you. If you finance your project officer will work with you to gather additional documentation, including but not limited to financing documents, copy of your down payment check, first month payment to your finance company. In this case, South Coast AQMD will pay the principal of the loan first, and if there are any amounts remaining, then it will be reimbursed directly to you. Also, regarding documentation, it is important to note that per the Carl Moyer guidelines, we will be asking for proof of payment, including copies of checks as well as wire transfers that show that payment was applied from the finance company to the dealership. There are two ways to apply for Carl Moyer program, through paper applications or through our Carl Moyer online application system. All applications are due by Tuesday, August 4th at 1 p.m. There are no exceptions, and we will not accept submissions via email or faxes. If you decide to apply online using our Carl Moyer online application system, if you have not done so in previous years, you will be required to register first. The screenshots you see in this slide show you the 3 basic steps to register. Click on Create Account and enter your company and contact information. This is where you will set up your username and password. From there, you will receive an email verification. Please click on the link in the email to complete your registration. Once you complete registration, you will see a screen showing that your registration is complete. Please save your username and password. If you already registered in prior years, simply enter your username and password. If you forgot your username or password, please click Forgot Username or Forgot Password on the Start page. Once you complete your registration, you are now able to create your application or proposal. The screenshots in this slide show you where you could start your proposal. You will be asked to name your proposal, and from there, you will select your project category, whether it's off-road replacement, on-road repower, etc. After selecting your project category, you can begin entering your project information. You do not have to complete your application in one sitting. The Carl Moyer online application system allows you to save and continue. After you completed entering all the necessary information, you will be asked to review and check all the boxes prior to submission. Then afterwards, you will use your mouse to sign your name and finally click Sign and Submit, and your application will then be received and timestamped electronically. After submission, a confirmation email will be sent. Please save this email for your records. After August 4th, South Coast AQMD staff will contact you if further information is needed and will start the evaluation process. Some useful tips as you apply online. Please have your information available prior to accessing the online portal. Supporting documents will now have to be converted to a PDF format. All other formats, including Word, Excel, and images, will have to be converted and will not be able to be uploaded unless they are in a PDF format. Please do not leave any fields blank. If not applicable, please type 0 or not applicable. And lastly, A new function has been added to this year's enhancement. Starting this year, you will be required to upload several documents prior to submitting your proposal. In prior years, applicants were able to submit their application without any supporting documentation. Thus, in an effort to streamline the process and to allow your projects to be evaluated more efficiently, we are now requiring additional documentation on the front end. The required documents will be highlighted and easily identified for you in the application process. For those opting to submit paper applications, please visit aqmd.gov/Moyer and download the application forms. Please note that you will be required to submit to South Coast AQMD the original plus 3 copies and its supporting documents on a CD or flash drive. Again, fax or email applications will not be accepted, and the due date for submittals is Tuesday, August 4th by 1 p.m. This slide identifies links to the Carl Moyer Program guidelines, as well as South Coast AQMD's Carl Moyer Program landing page. In addition, the link to the online application system is provided. For any questions, please email us at carlmoyer@aqmd.gov. Our staff will reach out and resolve any questions or concerns pertaining to the Carl Moyer program. Again, the application deadline is Tuesday, August 4th by 1 p.m., and displayed again are the links to apply. My name is Walter, and my email address is wshen@aqmd.gov. Please direct general questions to the carlmoyer@aqmd.gov email. I will be happy to answer any questions moving forward. Thank you very much.